So myself, Balakrishna, I have around 8 years of experience into Oracle PLSQL development, and I worked on different projects like Informatica, DataStage, and Ab Initio, and I worked as an Oracle DB also. And I'm into online training from the past 4.5 years. So yeah, that's all about me. So basically, this Oracle, it will have two parts, as you know. It will have both SQL as well as PL SQL, and this is a course content. So in the SQL part, so I'm going to cover how to create the tables, and we have different things like different database subjects, like we have views, sequences, synonyms. I'll just show you one thing. So what is the tool that you're using in your project? Are you using SQL Developer or Toad?
It depends. Like for the current project, we are using Toad SQL Developer.
Okay. Yeah. So okay. So here for the session, actually, I'm using SQL Developer. So in the SQL part, I'm going to cover joins and how to write the subqueries, correlated subqueries, and we have set operators like union, and union all. And I'll tell you some analytical function, aggregate functions, and some of the concept like so we have some advanced concepts in 11G like list aggregate functions. So I'm going to cover all those things, and so I'll just share the course content. And okay, let me start with creating a table now. So I'm just creating a user for you. So as you know about Oracle database, I'm starting right away. So once I create the user, I need to give some privileges to the users in order to log into the particular user. So this grant and this connect and resource are the two privileges that we need to give to any user. So if we create any user, so we need to give these two privileges to that user. So generally, if you see any Oracle database, you'll have users. So you'll have users. So here I have so many users. So based on the business, let's say if it is a bank, let's talk about Wells Fargo Bank. So if we take an example of a bank will have different operations, right? So they'll deal with the account section, and they'll deal with the loan section. They'll have one more thing called card section, and they'll have insurance section. So if I'm maintaining this particular bank as a database, so I need to have 4 users. So here I need to have 4 users. So based on the type of business, that they deal with, so they used to maintain those number of schemas. So we can call a user or a schema. So here you are able to see so many users, right? So Anusha, Asif, Insurance. It's like that we have so many users. Now I just created one more user here. So I'm just configuring the user. So the first day we'll just start with how to create the tables, and we'll see what are the different sublanguages in SQL. So I just configured the user here. So can you see Supriya here? I'm just setting the conference. So I'm just logging into the user. So I just connected to a user called Supriya, and if I want to see the user that I am connected, so I have to use this command, show user, which will shows the current user information. So the user is up here, and when you go to the particular user, you are able to see different database objects. Like we have tables, views, we have indexes, packages, procedures, functions, triggers, types, sequences, material views, view logs, synonyms, and database links. So these are the different database objects that we have. So the Oracle course is nothing but learning about all these things. Some things comes under SQL and some will come under PL SQL. If we take any database, we have so many databases in the market. Like we have SQL Server, we have DB2, Sybase, and we have, or now we are learning Oracle. So if we take any database, the data will store in tables. So I hope you know what is a table. A table will have a rows and columns. So this is my this is my table. So I have a department table and I have a employee table. So here I have so these are all called columns. So here I have around 9 columns are there for the employee table, and I have 14 rows. We can call row or record, both are same. So Oracle terminology, a row is called a record. Now, as a first step, so if there is a business, so they will give the end user, the business people, they will collect the data and they will load the data. So the data loading team will be there. So they will load the data into the table. The data may come from a flat file or whatever may be the source. So once we get the data in the table, so we need to, as per the business requirement, we need to write different queries. Hope you know what is a query, right? So query is nothing but a select statement. So a query is nothing but a select statement. Now I'm just creating a table here. Okay, to save the time, I already have the script with me. So I'm just trying to create 2 tables here. So the tables which you are seeing in the Excel sheet. So I'm just trying to create these 2 tables. So if you want to execute any command in SQL Developer, you'll have 2 options here. So can you see here? This is nothing but this is a run statement, which is nothing but F9. This is F9. So which will be used for executing a single command. And here you can see one more button, that is nothing but run script, which is nothing but F5. So which will be used for executing single or multiple commands. Which will be used for executing single or multiple commands. Now, so this is a single command. So I can press F9. So I just created a table, and there is an insert statement is there. So insert statement is used to insert the data into the table. So I'll give you the syntax and all. So each and every syntax. Do you know? Hope you know what is a data type, right? Do you know what are the different data types we have in the Oracle database?
Char, varchar, number.
Yes, we have a number. We have varchar too. So the number will be used to store numeric information, and this is for character information. And we have one more data type called a date, so which will be used to store date information. So if you look at the Excel, so this particular column will store numeric information, and this will store character information. This is also character information. And if you look at this higher date, so which is in a different format. So this is a date format. So to store this kind of data, we have to use a data type called date, and we have few more data types. So just for the time being, we need these three data types. And for creating the table, so this is the table syntax. So you need to define the data type under. I just created a table here, and just try to see here. So as soon as you create the table, you can find out all the tables information in the table section. So here I just created a table called EMP. So how to see the data from a particular table? So you have to use a statement called select star from a table name. Here the star represents all columns of the table. So I'm just trying to see the data in the table. So I just created a table, but I haven't inserted any data. So obviously I won't have any records or rows. Now let me insert some records. So this insert statement will be used to insert data into the table. Now insert few more records. So I'm using F5 button. So since I have more than one command here, I'm going for F5. So can you see here there is a button called commit here. So do you know what is a commit? So there is a command called here commit is there, and there is one more command called rollback.
The records get saved. It's like captured.
Right.
Rollback
Right.
will revert back the record. Yes.
Right. So when I say, so I just inserted the data, right? So if I know that the data is perfect, so which means so can you see here? I just inserted 14 records. So if I'm sure that this data is correct, then I can say commit. So once I press this button, so the data will be stored permanently in the database. So when I say rollback, so whatever the DML operations that I have performed, so I'll tell you what is a DML. So if I say rollback, so I won't see any data. So whatever the operation that I have performed will be a rollback. So here I don't see any data. So as soon as I insert the data, I need to give either commit or rollback. So if the data is correct, then I'll say commit. Let's say if there is any issue with the data, I'll say rollback. Now I am sure that the data is perfect. Now I'm giving commit here. So it is saying commit completed. Now let me see the data here. So this is the data that I have. So I inserted 14 records. Now I'm creating one more table here. So that is nothing but the department table. Okay, I created the department table also, and I'm giving commit here. So I have department table and I have employee table. So I have a few more records here. Now, so before moving further, I'll just give you the different sub-languages in SQL. So basically, SQL is divided into 5 different sub-languages. Do you have any idea on this thing? 5 different sub-languages. So I'll tell you. So the first one is DDL, which is nothing but a data definition language. Second one is DML, which is nothing but data manipulation language. And we have one more thing called data control language, DCL. So once we know these things, we can write any queries and all. We can go for other things. We have TCL, transaction control language. We have transaction control language. And finally, we have a data querying language, or we can call it as a data retrieval language. It's a data querying language or data retrieval language. So data definition language means we just created a table, right? So we used a statement called create. So we used create statement, and we used a create statement here to create a user. So this create command will comes under data definition language. And we have few more commands there. And DML means we just see an insert statement, right? So insert will comes under here. And so data control language means, so we used a statement called grant statement, right? So this grant statement will comes under data control language. And transaction control language, nothing but we just used commit statement, and we have used rollback statement. So these two comes under transaction control language. And select statements will comes under data querying language. So if you want to see the data in a table, we have to use a select statement. So these are the different sub languages of SQL. And we have few more things here. We have create, we have alter, and we have drop, we have add, drop column. So we have modify. Here we have insert, delete, and update. We have seen grant, right? We have one more command called revoke. Here we have seen commit, rollback, and we have one more command called save point. And for this one, we have only a select statement. Anyways, we are going to see these things in the future classes. So basically, when we have the data in the table, then comes the requirement. So then comes the requirement, like, so they want to see the data in a different format. Like, I'll just show you one format here. Let's say this is the data we have. So if you observe here, how many employees are there in the department? So I just highlighted in a red color. So I have a 10 here, 10 here, and I have one more here. So in 10th department, I have 3 employees, and in 20th department, I have 5 employees, and in the 30th department, I have how many? I have. So I have 5 employees. So this is my requirement. So I want to see the data in this format. So this I want to see only department number, and I want to see the count here. So this is my requirement. So I have given all the requirements here. So this Excel sheet will contain all the requirements. So basically, Oracle course is nothing but, so based on the given requirement, we need to write different queries. And those queries can be used in procedures, in functions, in packages and all. Now, I'll just give you the select statement syntax here, because this is a very important thing. So once you know the complete syntax of the select statement, you can write any queries. So the first step is you need to have columns here. You need to have a table name, and remaining things are optional. So I'm just keeping them in a square braces. So when you see a square brace, so which means these are all optional. So where you need to have a condition here, and you'll have group by clause. So you'll have columns here, and you have having, and you need to have a condition here, and finally we'll have a order by clause. And here there will be one more clause called nulls last or nulls first. So this is the complete syntax of a select statement. So we have seen this one up to this point. Select columns from a table name. Let's say I want to see employee number, employee name, salary, and department number from a particular table. So here I need to mention all the columns here. So this is the data. Now, when you want to filter, so here you are getting around 14 records. Now let's say you don't want to see all the 14 records and you want to see only records which are related to a particular department. So now in that case you need to go for a where condition, where you need to specify the condition here. Let's say you want to see the employees who are working in 30th department. Now here comes the where condition. Now when you will go for this one having clause, sorry, group by clause. So group by will come like this is the requirement here. So did you ever use group by and having conditions, Supriya?
For aggregation.
So for aggregations, so we have a function here that is nothing but an aggregate function. We have a function called aggregate functions. Now in the aggregate we have around 6 functions are there. The first one is list AGG, and we have sum, minimum, maximum, average, and we have count. So these 6 are the aggregate functions, and this list aggregate is it's a 11G release to function. Have you heard about this function list AGG? This is the most widely used function. So prior to 11G release 2, so to achieve a particular requirement, it's very difficult to achieve one of the requirement. So as this function, with this function, so it covers so many things. I'll tell you about this function. So these are the different functions we have. And now when you use these functions, you need to use a clause called group by clause. Whenever you are using these 6 functions, you need to go for a group by clause. So that's a blind rule. Now, so this is my requirement here. Let's say I would like to find out the employees who are working in. I need the count here. So in department number 10, I need the count here. So the count is 3 and 25, 30 is 5. So this is the output that I'm requiring. So in that situation, so the simple thing is, I'm just listing out the departments here. So this is 1 and 2 and 3. Now here this is called department number, and so the first step is you need to find out the clause here, grouping column. You need to find out the grouping column. So that's the first step in when you are using a aggregate function. That is the most important step when you go for an aggregate function. So what I have done is, so this is my requirement here. I need to have a department number and the respective count, the number of employees who are working in that particular department. Now if you look at here, so I have 3 departments here. So these 3 departments I'm combining and grouping them in a So even though I have 3 departments, I'm just keeping as 1 and I'm giving the count here. So even though I have 5 departments, I'm just grouping them into a single group and I'm giving 20 and I'm just giving the count here. So which means even though I have a repetitive values, I'm just showing them only once. I'm just putting the count here. So here the grouping column is nothing but the department number. So this is the department number and this is the count. This is the count here. Now I'm just writing a query here. So I need department number and I need the count here. I'll tell you what is this one, a count of 1. I'll tell you. From EMP, I told you we need to have a, whenever I used these 6 functions, count, average, maximum, minimum, sum, list, aggregate, I need to use a group by clause here. I need to go for group by clause. So here I need to say group by. You need to specify the grouping column here. So if you look at this example, what is the grouping column here? Even though I have 3 records, I'm just grouping all the 10s into single group, all the 20s into a single group, all the 30s into a single group. So obviously the grouping column is nothing but department number here. So this is the grouping column here. Department number is nothing but the grouping column.
So why did you take count 1?
I'll tell you. No. So can you see here in 10th department I have 3 employees, 20 I have 5 employees, 30 I have 6 employees. This 1 is nothing but it's just an expression. It won't make any difference here. So I'm just giving count of 2 here.
The header part, right? Department number.
Not the header. So I'll tell you the different ways to use a count function. You can use count of 1 and you can use count of star. Okay, I'm just using count of star here. So there is no difference here. I'm just trying to find out the count here. So when I execute this particular query with the count of star, it will return the same result. So can you see the same result?
Not true.
So you can use count of 2 also. It's just an expression. Anything you can use here.
Okay, for example, if I don't use that, then
you have to use any one column here. I'll show you. I will show you one more thing here. You can use count of star. You can use count of 1. You can use count of 2, or you can use one more thing called you can use count of column name. I'm just coming to that. Count of column name. So it just gives you the count in that particular column. Okay. So I think there is no difference between these 4 queries. I think the last query, yeah, it is executing. So it won't make any difference. So it's your wish. You can use any of these things. So generally, when you look at the real-time code, so did you ever get a chance to look at any procedure or package in your real-time?
Yes.
So I'll just show you. I'll just show you one of the procedure here. So basically,
we have the procedure, right?
Yes. Yeah. So here, this is one of the thing. It's having around it's having 5,000 lines. So. Okay. See, here they are using a group by clause here. Group by, they're using some columns here.
Alias. You have taken.
Not alias. I'll tell you the rule here. So whenever you are using count, minimum, maximum, those kind of things, you need to use a group by clause.
Okay.
Okay. So here they are using count of star here. So instead of count of star, you can use count of one or count of column name. You can use anything. So this is the package. I think here you will get more things. See, here they are using a column here. This is a one column, and they are using count of star here. So whenever you are using count of star or count minimum maximum sum list aggregate, the column which is there. Just a moment. So in this example, this department number is called normal column. This is called normal column, and this is count. This count is called aggregated column. This is called aggregate function. Now here the rule is the normal column should be in the group by clause. There's a thumb rule. The normal column should be in the group by clause. So this is the thumb rule. Let's say here you have, I'll show you one more example here. I'll give you the requirement. Yes. Now, if you look at here, my requirement is, I would like to find out, can you tell me how many managers are there in 10th department? How many managers are there in 10th department? So this is the department. You have one clerk, and you have one president, and you have one manager. So in 10th department, I have one manager, one president, and one clerk. Okay. So if you look at 20th department, I have 20th department, one analyst, one clerk. Okay, two analysts, one manager, and one clerk. So I just copied here. So if you look at 20th department, I have two analysts, okay, two clerks, and one manager. Similarly, I'm just copying 30th department. So 30 I have two salesmen, three salesmen, and one manager, four salesmen, and one clerk. So I just copied here. So if you look at 30th department, in 30th department, I have four salesmen, one manager, and one clerk. Okay. So this is the final output that I require. 10th department, one clerk, one manager, one president. 20th department, two clerks, one manager, two analysts. 30th department, four salesmen, one manager, and one clerk. So in this example, you are having so the grouping. I'm talking about the grouping columns here. How to identify the grouping columns? That is the most important point. Here you are having how many records? 30th department, around 6 records, right? So for 30th you have 6 records, but here you are showing only 3 records because you are grouping both this job. You are grouping both job as well as department number. I'll just write you the query for this requirement. Let's try to see here. Select department number, comma, job, comma, count of star from EMP So here, what is the thumb rule here? The thumb rule is nothing but the normal column should be in the group by class. Here, how many normal columns you have? You have 2 normal columns here. So these 2 should be in the grouping class. So when you execute this, you'll get the same output, whatever we have seen in the Excel sheet. Can you see here? So 10th you have one clerk, one manager, and so 30th you have 4 salesmen, 1 clerk, and 1 manager.
Okay.
Okay. So this is about group by class, and we have to see about having class. So after group by, I need to see having class. Now, so based on this output, my requirement is I would like to find out the department where you have more than 2 salesmen. I would like to find out for a department where you have more than two salesmen. So that is my requirement. So when you look at this output, you can easily say what is the department in which where there are more than 2 salesmen. Obviously, this is the only department, right? So you have to get this only this record. So what you need to do? So this is your output. Still, you need to filter this one, right? So what is this output? This output is coming from a group by class. So you need to filter this one. So what is the other way to filter group results? So that is nothing but a having class. So if you want to filter group results means group by class. If you want to filter the group results, you have to use a class called having count of star is greater than 2. And what is your next requirement? You need to find out for a department where you need to have 4 sales, more than 2 salesmen, right? So the first check is you need to have where class here, where job equal to salesman, and you need to find out a department where you will have more than 2 salesmen. So that is the requirement. Having count of star is greater than 2. COUNT spelling is wrong. Okay.